Good morning, students. Today we want to study about authentication second, that is third chapter of third module of cryptography, network security and cyber law. So in this, we are going to cover the centralized authentication, Needham-Schroeder protocol, Kerberos and biometrics. So first we'll see the centralized authentication, in which the key distribution center, a trusted third party that shares a long-term key with the clients and servers alike. So this is the first point we are going to cover. Second, the two protocols which will make use of the KDC. One is Needham-Schroeder protocol and other is a Kerberos. And the last we'll see the biometric authentication, which is a substitute for the cryptographic authentication. Centralized authentication. So first we'll see the advantages of the secret cryptography over the public key cryptography, and then we'll see the usage of a centralized authentication. So in public key cryptography, we require the digital certificate and a public key infrastructure, and there is a substantial cost to set up and maintain the public key infrastructure. And also, public key, private key operations are relatively slow compared to secret key operations. In secret key cryptography, if the entity communicates with a large number of other entities over time, it must share a secret key with each of those parties. So managing and securely storing a large number of keys is a non-trivial task. So one approach to alleviating the risk is to employ a trusted third party, which in this case functions as a key distribution center. So here each user registers with a KDC and chooses a password, which is called as a long-term secret key, which is a function of the password, which will be shared between the user and the key distribution center. The main function of the key distribution center is to securely communicate a fresh common session key to the two parties who wish to communicate with each other. We'll see this one through an diagram. Suppose A wish to communicate with a B. So first A sends a message to KDC in a clear format that I wish to communicate with B along with the A's identity. Secondly, the KDC prepares two messages which are encrypted with the long-term secret key, which is shared between KDC and A and KDC and B respectively. Here KDC generates the session key, and that session key is encrypted with the long-term secret key, and one message will be sent to A and another message will be sent to B. After that, A and a B decrypts those messages by using the long-term secret key, which are shared between the KDC and themselves, and they will be getting the session key over here, and that session key, they will use it further to have a communication between A and B. So this is what the working of a KDC. So next one, it's a Needham-Schroeder protocol, which comes in a 4 versions. So we'll see one by one each version, what are the drawbacks of each version and how those drawbacks are overcome in the next version. So first we'll see a preliminary version in which A want to have a communication with a B. So A sends his identity and the name with whom he want to communicate in a clear format to the KDC. KDC generates a session key, which we call it as a ticket, and that session key is encrypted with the long-term secret key, which is shared between KDC and A, and there is a ticket. The ticket contains the identity of A and the session key, which is encrypted by using the long-term secret key, which is shared between the KDC and the B. So this message will be sent to A from the KDC. Once the A receives the message from the KDC, it decrypts that message by using the long-term secret key. Then whatever the ticket it has in that message, as it is along with the one nonce value, which we call it as a challenge to B, will be sent to the B. B receives the message from the A. Then it decrypts the ticket and it gets the session key. By using that session key, it gets the nonce value, which is included by A in the message. Then that nonce value is decremented by 1 and a one fresh new nonce is generated by B, which is sent to A. Then when A receives a message from B, it decrements the nonce value which has generated from the B and then it sends to A. Then it sends to B. So in this way, they have proved their identity that A is communicating with the B and B is communicating with the A, and then they will start communicating with themselves by using the session key which the KDC has generated. So this is a preliminary version 1, but the drawback of this version is that here we can have the man in the middle attack in the preliminary version. So you can see in the figure, when A prepares the first message, that is identity of a and a B, when it sends in a clear format to the KDC, suppose X is an insider who is going to have a long-term secret key which is shared with a KDC. Then X intercepts a message sent from the A, then it substitutes the value of a B with X, and that modified message it sent to the KDC. Then the KDC receives that message, it prepares a ticket, generates a session key which is encrypted with a long-term secret key which is shared between KDC and the A and sends back to the A. When the A receives the message, it decrypts the message, gets a session key, and then transfers a ticket along with a nonce to X instead of a B. Now it will be sent to X. X receives it, reads the value of a nonce, decremented the value of a nonce by 1, generates a new nonce called as R2. Then the two nonces, that is R1 minus 1 and R2, is encrypted with that session key and sent back to the A. A receives the message, then decrypts it by using the same session key, then decrements the value of a nonce, that is R2, by 1 and sends back to the X. So now here, instead of having a communication between A and a B, there is a communication between A and X. So this is what a man in the middle attack may happen in preliminary version 1. So as to overcome with this attack, a simple fix to the protocol is to include B's identity in the encrypted message from the KDC to A. And the modified message form will be like this. Session key generated, which is KAB, then the identity of a B, then a ticket which contains the identity of a and session key generated by the KDC, which is encrypted by using the long-term secret key which is shared with the B. So if you do that one, the man in the middle attack can be overcome in the preliminary version 2. But even though we add the identity of a B in the encrypted format message 2 from KDC to A, there is another type of attack which can happen, which we call it as a man in the middle attack as well as the replay attack. So we'll see how the replay attack is happen on a preliminary version 2. So here X Avast drops on the messages sent from A to the KDC and A to B and B to A over a period of a time. Then it intercepts those messages, keep it with them. Then after that, the X steals the B's password or a long-term secret key which is shared with the KDC. So by the time B comes to know the information that his password or a long-term secret key has been hacked, he reports to the KDC that my password is hacked by somebody. So please provide me the new password. So before that, what the X does is that he replays the previous message to the A, which is in form of a 2 dash. You can see over here E, that is session key, A K B dash, then the identity of a B, then a ticket which is encrypted by B dash. Here B dash is nothing but the old key, whereas B is the new key generated by the KDC along with a B. But old message has been replayed to A. A uses the same message and the conversation takes place in this one. So this is what we call it as a replay attack. So as to overcome this in a preliminary version 3, we can add a freshness of a message 2, means whether that message 2 is a replay of an old message or it's a new fresh message generated by the KDC. We can add a nonce to the message 2 and then we can send it back to A. So this is what is done in a version 3. So you can see here first A generates a first message including identity of A, identity of B and R3, which is nonce, which indicates the freshness of a message which will be sent to KDC. When the KDC generates the session key, it includes the identity of the B along with the nonce generated from A so as to indicate it's a fresh new message which has been delivered from KDC to A. Then further all the steps will take place accordingly as we have already seen in the previous versions. So here also what exactly happens in a version 3 is again we can have a replay attack on a preliminary version 3. So now if you see here, now X is the insider again, which eavesdrops on the messages which will be sent from A to KDC and A to B. Then what exactly happens over here is that X sends a message which is encrypted with the long secret key of the B, then a session key which is generated by the KDC, but here again X uses the old key of the A instead of a new key, and by using that old key he replays a message to B. B gives a reply by decrementing the nonce value R1 and creating a new fresh value R2 and send it back to X. So in this way the replay attack happens on a preliminary version 3. So as to overcome this one, final version, which is a Needham-Schroeder protocol here. So in this one, B were allowed to choose a nonce and the same nonce were enclosed by the KDC in the ticket it generates. So here what exactly we are doing is that first A sends a message to the KDC that he want to have a communication with a B by sending the identity of A and a B. Then KDC generates a one nonce value, that is R4. That will be sent in the encrypted format. B is going to generate the nonce value, that is R4. Then that information will be given to the KDC. Then the third message, A forwards his challenge as R3 along with the R4. Then KDC generates ticket and includes R4. When B receives this ticket in message 5, B can verify the random number or a nonce generated in a message 2 is same or not. So by seeing the value of R3 and R4, we can come to know that whether it's a replay of an old message or the fresh new message has been generated by A as well as B. So this is what the Needham-Schroeder protocol, which is a final version. A next one is a Kerberos, which is another authentication protocol. We can use it here. Suppose a user could use the same password for all servers, but distributing and maintaining a password file across multiple servers poses a security risk. A password-based system could ensure the following. Password should not be transmitted in the clear. It should not be possible to launch dictionary attack. The password itself should not be stored on the authentication server. Rather, it should be cryptographically transferred before being stored. It should not be possible to launch dictionary attack by obtaining a file containing cryptographically transferred version of the password. A user enters her password only once during the login. Thereafter, it should not have to re-enter her password to access other servers for the duration of the session. So this feature, we call it as a single sign-on. The password should reside on a machine for only a few milliseconds after being entered by the user. So the Kerberos protocol elegantly addresses many of the issues which we have discussed. So the Kerberos is developed at MIT, which has been through many versions. The latest version is a Kerberos version 5. The KDC, which is used in the Needham-Schroeder protocol, is logically split into two entities here in the Kerberos. One we call it as an authentication server and other is a ticket granting server. The sequence of messages exchanged between the client, the Kerberos servers and the requested server is shown in the following figure, which involves the three steps. So we'll see here the first communication takes place between the client and the authentication server, where it is going to send the two messages, that is message 1 and a message 2. Then the second set communication takes place between the client and the TGS. The TGS stands for ticket granting server. And the third one takes place between the client and a server. So first here, C requests the ticket granting ticket. Then C receives the ticket granting ticket. Then C requests service granting ticket. C receives service granting ticket and the session key. C authenticates itself to server. Yes authenticates itself to C. So these what exactly the sequence of messages takes place between the client and server by using the Kerberos. So here first, as I told, the communication takes place between the client and authentication server. So first message contains the information, that is identity of the client. Then TGS, that is ticket granting server, times, that is session start time and duration of the session, and nonce, that is R1. Then the message 2